You ever notice something strange about people? Most of them claim they value honesty, fairness, loyalty. But the moment something important is on the line, power, attention, money, status, those same people suddenly forget all their principles. They lie. They twist the truth. They manipulate situations behind your back. And when you finally realize what they're doing, it's usually too late. Because while you were trying to play fair, they were playing smart. Here's the uncomfortable truth nobody likes to admit. Life isn't always a clean game. Some people win because they're talented. Some people win because they work hard. And some people win because they understand something darker about human nature. A lesson people have been studying since the time of Niccolò Machiavelli. The idea that power often belongs to the person who understands how people really behave, not how they pretend to behave. Now relax. This isn't about becoming a villain. It's about not being the naive character in someone else's story. Because if someone decides to play dirty with you, the worst thing you can do is stay predictable. The first psychological trick is learning to never reveal your full intentions. Most people talk too much. They explain their plans. They show their excitement. They let everyone know exactly what they're about to do, which is adorable and incredibly dangerous. Because once people know your intentions, they know how to block them. Watch powerful people closely. They rarely show their full hand. They move quietly. They hint instead of announcing. They let others underestimate them. While everyone else is busy explaining themselves, they're already 3 steps ahead. Silence, ironically, makes people nervous. And nervous people make mistakes. The second trick is something that sounds simple but is surprisingly rare. Make people reveal themselves. Here's the thing about manipulators. They talk a lot. They justify. They over-explain. They subtly brag about their cleverness. All you have to do is listen. Instead of arguing immediately, let them speak longer than they planned. Ask innocent questions. Oh, really? What do you mean by that? It's amazing how quickly people expose their real motives when they think they're in control of the conversation. You'd be surprised how many smart manipulators destroy their own credibility simply because they couldn't resist the sound of their own voice. The third trick is emotional neutrality. Manipulators feed on reactions. Anger, frustration, defensiveness. Those emotions give them information. If they insult you and you explode, they just learned exactly where your weakness is. But when someone throws something at you emotionally and you respond with calm curiosity instead, it breaks the entire dynamic. Imagine someone trying to provoke you and you just look at them like they're a mildly confusing documentary. No anger, no panic, just a quiet, slightly amused expression. Suddenly, the power shifts. Because the person who controls the emotional temperature controls the interaction. The fourth trick is letting people underestimate you. This one requires swallowing a little pride. Humans have a strange habit of relaxing around people they think are harmless. If someone believes you're naive, quiet, or less capable than them, they lower their guard. And when people lower their guard, they become incredibly predictable. You see their strategies earlier. You notice their weaknesses faster. Meanwhile, they assume you're too clueless to notice anything. There's a quiet advantage in being underestimated. It's like playing chess with someone who thinks they're teaching a beginner. They're relaxed. You're observing. And suddenly the board looks very different. The fifth trick is strategic distance. Not every battle deserves your attention. One of the most manipulative things toxic people do is keep you emotionally trapped in endless drama. Arguments, explanations, misunderstandings, over and over again. Because the more emotionally invested you become, the easier you are to control. The real power move. Sometimes it's simply stepping back. You stop reacting immediately. You delay responses. You create space between you and the chaos. And something interesting happens when you do that. People who rely on manipulation suddenly panic when they realize they can't easily reach your emotions anymore. Distance creates clarity, and clarity exposes games. The sixth trick is making people feel like something was their idea. Direct confrontation often triggers resistance. If you tell someone what to do, they instinctively push back. But if you guide the conversation so they arrive at the conclusion themselves, now they feel smart. Now they feel powerful. And suddenly, they're supporting the very outcome you wanted in the first place. It's a subtle, psychological shift. Instead of forcing control, you redirect momentum. The human ego is very cooperative as long as it believes it's winning. The seventh trick is the one most people ignore because it sounds boring. But it might be the most powerful of all. Patience. Manipulators rely on urgency. They pressure you to react quickly, to decide immediately, to respond emotionally, because rushed decisions are easier to influence. But when you slow everything down, when you take time to observe, when you refuse to react instantly, the manipulation starts to fall apart. You notice contradictions. You see patterns. You recognize the strategy behind the behavior. And suddenly, the person who thought they were controlling the situation realizes something uncomfortable. You're not reacting the way they expected. And when someone can't predict your reaction, they can't control them either. Here's the strange part about all of this. Most people think power looks loud, aggressive, dominant, obvious. But real psychological power is usually quiet. It's awareness. It's patience. It's understanding how human nature actually works, not how people pretend it works. And once you start noticing these patterns, you realize something slightly unsettling. Manipulation isn't rare. It's everywhere. In workplaces, in friendships, even in the small everyday interactions people barely think about, which leaves you with an interesting choice. You can keep assuming everyone plays fair, or you can quietly understand the game that's already happening around you. And once you understand the game, you don't have to become ruthless. You just have to stop being predictable. Because the moment someone realizes they can't easily read, you can't easily provoke, you can't easily manipulate your reaction, the entire dynamic changes. And suddenly the person who thought they were playing the smartest game in the room starts wondering how they lost control of the board.